Do you believe in destiny? Is our destiny to find a second home in this endless universe? Or is destiny just some fantastical fairy tale written by scientists with a mad belief? Whether you believe it or not, there's one undeniable truth. Throughout human history, one planet has been constantly calling to us like a mysterious and distant lover. That planet is Mars. Mars, the mysterious red planet. A world once imagined as home to alien civilizations, where gigantic canals meandered across the surface. From the earliest sci-fi films to the latest scoops from NASA, Mars has always been an irresistible destination. But do we truly understand this planet? Does it really have the potential to be humanity's next home? Or are we just chasing a wild goose chase, a fanciful dream, fraught with risks and uncertainties? Today at Space Plus, we won't just be telling the story of Mars. We're going on a trip, a journey through time and space to uncover a terrifying secret. A secret that could change the way we see Mars forever. A secret about a watery past, a stormy present, and a future that could be a paradise or a gigantic tombstone for all of human civilization. Get ready to have your minds blown, because today we won't just be looking at Mars through a telescope. We'll be heading straight into the eye of the storm, exploring the never-before-seen nooks and crannies of this red giant. So forget everything you think you know, because Space Plus is about to blow everything out of the water and tell you a completely different story. A story where science isn't just a bunch of formulas, but a series of living, breathing journeys, raw emotions, and plot twists that will make you gasp and say, "Wow," until you're breathless. Closing your eyes and imagine. Let yourself break free from the reality of a lush green Earth. Let your mind travel back in time, about 4 billion years. We're going to touch down on a planet we now know as Mars, but back then, it was a completely different story. Forget the image of a desolate red desert, full of dust storms that you often see in movies. Forget the bone-chilling sub-zero cold or the atmosphere so thin you can't breathe. Instead, picture a world of aquamarine and emerald green. The Martian sky back then was a canvas of turquoise, not the sickly pink-orange it is today. The thick atmosphere, rich with carbon dioxide and water vapor, acted like a warm blanket, trapping heat on the planet's surface. Thanks to this natural greenhouse effect, the temperature wasn't too cold, just warm enough for water to exist as a liquid. And water? That substance that humanity always craves during long droughts once existed here in vast quantities. Imagine a massive ocean covering half of Mars's northern hemisphere, hundreds of meters deep in some places, enough to submerge all the seawater in the Tasman Sea. Ancient, massive rivers, thundering waterfalls, huge freshwater lakes. All of it was part of a complex and dynamic hydrological system. We know this isn't just a wild theory. It's thanks to our tiny space detectives, the rovers Curiosity and Perseverance. They've sent back undeniable evidence. Curiosity found rounded pebbles in the bed of an ancient river. These pebbles were worn smooth by the fast-flowing water, just like the river rocks we find in rivers on Earth. Perseverance, its more advanced cousin, is currently exploring the Jezero crater. Think of this crater not just as a giant hole, but as a massive lake that was once fed by an ancient river. Perseverance has found layers of deposited clay, an irrefutable piece of evidence that liquid water once existed here for a long period, long enough to create a complex ecosystem.
So, if Mars was once green and full of water like that, was it once a cradle for life? That's the question that makes us more desperate than ever to get to the planet. And what Perseverance has just found has cranked the story up to a new level. In the rock and soil samples taken from the Jezero crater, scientists have discovered traces of organic matter, the basic building blocks of life. No, this doesn't mean we found Martians, but it's like we're walking through a desolate forest and suddenly we find a dried leaf. That leaf isn't life itself, but it's undeniable proof that there was once a tree there. And if that tree once existed, what happened to it?
This is where the story of Mars gets truly epic. Imagine a powerful hero, but with one fatal flaw. Mars's Achilles heel was its magnetic field. About 3.8 billion years ago, something went belly up with Mars's molten iron core and it stopped working. When the core cooled down, the planet's magnetic field just vanished. And that was the start of a cosmic catastrophe. Our sun doesn't just deliver light and life, it also spits out solar winds, a vicious stream of charged particles that can tear anything apart in its path. On Earth, our magnetic field acts like an invisible shield, pushing the solar wind away, creating those absolutely cracker northern and southern lights at our poles. But on Mars, there was no shield left. The solar wind gave Mars a right old battering, non-stop. It tore away the atmosphere bit by bit, sweeping carbon dioxide and water molecules out into space. The atmospheric pressure dropped, the temperature plummeted. Liquid water couldn't hang around on the surface anymore. It either evaporated or froze into a permanent ice layer hidden deep underground. The vast oceans, the winding rivers, they all disappeared, leaving only dry valleys and ancient seabeds as a telltale sign of a glorious lost past. Mars went from a lush green world to a bone-dry red desert. A real head-scratcher of a question, a true story. If Earth's magnetic field also disappeared, would we be living in the final moments of our blue planet, and would we be repeating Mars's epic tragedy? This isn't just science fiction, mate. It's a huge lesson Mars has taught us. Every red grain of sand on Mars is like a bone from a dead ocean. Every massive dust storm is the ghost of a ripped-apart atmosphere. That's the past of Mars. A gut-wrenching story of life and death, of a world that once was and was wiped out by the universe itself. But this story isn't over. It's just a chapter that's closed to open a new one. A chapter of exploration, of hope, and of a future where we could one day turn Mars into our home again. In the next bit, we're going to dive deep into the secrets of the Mars of today. We'll get stuck into the most mind-blowing discoveries from the rovers, the finds that could change how we see the planet forever. So get ready, because what you're about to hear will absolutely blow your socks off and challenge everything you thought you knew about the red planet.
If Mars's past is a tragic story of loss, its present is a challenging adventure and the source of some mind-blowing discoveries. Every time a spacecraft touches down on the red planet, it's like we're opening a new book, and what we find often leaves us absolutely gobsmacked. Forget about the sci-fi flicks and the wild theories. What we're about to tell you is the real deal, verified by the world's leading scientists, and it's completely reshaping humanity's space race. We're living in a golden era of space exploration, an age where humans are no longer looking at Mars from a distance through a telescope. We're sending tiny agents, the smartest and most persistent machines, all the way there to get our hands on the mystery. First up, of course, is the Curiosity rover, a real trooper that's been rolling on Mars since 2012. For over a decade, Curiosity has been working tirelessly, like a diligent, meticulous laborer, digging, analyzing, and sending back incredibly valuable information from Gale Crater. It was the one that gave us our very first glimpse of a watery Mars in the past. But the star of the show in the current Mars exploration squad has to be Perseverance. Think of Perseverance as a souped-up version, the top dog of the new generation. It's not just a simple search, it's also a professional sample collector. Right now, it's bunkered down at Jezero Crater, a place that was once a massive lake and a sprawling river delta system. Perseverance's main mission is to search for biosignatures, the tiny fingerprints of ancient life, and it has not disappointed us. Last year, in 2024, an announcement from NASA had the whole scientific community buzzing. Perseverance had collected rock and soil samples from the Jezero Crater's delta fan, and during preliminary analysis on Earth, scientists found traces of organic matter, including benzene. Don't mistake this for direct evidence of life, but think of it this way. It's like you're trekking through a wild, dense forest, and suddenly you spot a footprint. That footprint isn't human, but it proves that a living creature once walked there. Organic matter is the same. It's a footprint of life's chemistry. It shows that, at the very least, the raw ingredients for life were once present on Mars. And this opens up a challenging question. Were those ingredients enough to cook up a complete dish, an actual living thing? That's our biggest question. But that's not all we've found. The story of subsurface water ice on Mars has been mentioned before, but recent discoveries have taken it to a whole new level. Orbiting satellites like the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter have used radar to see through the surface layer, and they've found massive ice reserves, not just at the two poles, but at mid-latitudes as well. Scientists estimate that if we were to melt all that ice, it would create an ocean deep enough to cover the entire surface of Mars. This is a game-changing discovery, a massive booster for humanity's future on this planet. Water ice isn't just a source of drinking water, it's also a source of oxygen for breathing and hydrogen for rocket fuel. It's the treasure we've been looking for. Life on Mars right now isn't exactly a bed of roses, though. Cosmic radiation, particularly those charged particles from the sun, is still a constant threat. Without a magnetic field and without a thick atmosphere to shield us, people would be facing a real risk of cancer and other illnesses if they spent too long on the surface. That's precisely why scientists are looking into some really unique solutions, like building underground bases or using layers of rock and dirt as a shield. And now let's talk about the dust storms. These aren't just your average breezes. They're like a total nightmare that can blanket the entire planet for months on end, posing huge challenges for both robotic missions and humans. They can block out sunlight, which is the main power source for the rovers, and wreck delicate equipment. Most recently, a massive dust storm seriously impacted the operation of some equipment, which just goes to show how bloody unforgiving this environment is. However, alongside the challenges, we're also making some mind-blowing strides. The Ingenuity helicopter, which tagged along with Perseverance, has completed dozens of flights in Mars's thin atmosphere. This is the first time in history a remote-controlled aircraft has flown on another planet. Ingenuity's success is a historical milestone, kicking off a new era for aerial exploration, letting us get to areas that rovers just can't reach. All these discoveries, from organic compounds to water ice, from those dust storms to Ingenuity's success, They're painting a seriously complex and complete picture of what Mars is like right now. It isn't a dead planet, but a hibernating one, a world full of mysteries just waiting for us to wake it up. These discoveries aren't just about the science, they're also about hope, about sheer grit and human determination. The story of Mars today is a reminder that we're standing on the brink of one of history's biggest challenges, conquering another world. When we look at Mars, we see a future that might be full of challenges, but we also see an opportunity, a chance to build a new civilization, a chance to ensure the long-term survival of humanity. In the next part, we'll look to the future of Mars and how scientists, engineers, and even dreamers are making that dream a reality. Don't miss out, because what you're about to see is going to turn your thinking on its head about space travel. So stick with us on this journey, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the Space Plus channel so you don't miss our next epic flights. In the first two parts, we traveled back in time, witnessing Mars's glorious past, then returned to the present to explore the mysteries and treasures our robots have unearthed. Now it's time for us to look straight ahead. This is no longer a story about machines, but a story about us. A story about the future of Mars and humanity. Let's face the facts. Mars is a bone-chillingly harsh environment. A thin, freezing atmosphere, cosmic radiation, a silent assassin lurking in the shadows, and dust storms that can plunge the entire planet into darkness. So why, when we still have a mountain of problems here on Earth, are we so keen to head to such a dangerous world? This isn't just a question for scientists, it's a philosophical one. A deep query into the very essence of what it means to be human. Why do we need to go to Mars? One simple but massive reason: to ensure the survival of humanity. Remember the lesson from Mars's tragic past. A natural disaster like a meteor collision or some cataclysmic event on Earth could wipe out our entire civilization in the blink of an eye. Setting foot on Mars and building a second civilization would be a backup for all of humanity's history and future. It's the ultimate contingency plan, an emergency exit if our blue home is no longer a safe place. But that's not the whole story. Going to Mars is also the pinnacle of exploration, a call from deep within our very souls. Just like the great explorers across the globe who ventured into uncharted territories, conquering the cosmos is in our human DNA. It pushes us to develop technology, medicine, and knowledge, creating leaps and bounds we can't even begin to imagine. Think about it. The technologies developed to get humans to Mars, from new materials and recycling systems to space medicine, will all be applied back on Earth, improving our lives in ways we never thought possible. And now we're diving into the most dramatic part of the story. The plan has been laid out. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's becoming a reality with specific milestones announced for 2025. A fresh start, the race called Artemis and Starship. The race to Mars doesn't just have one warhorse. It's an arena where the giants of the space industry are going head-to-head. Artemis, getting that Apollo kick back. NASA is pushing ahead with the Artemis program with a crystal-clear goal: to get humans back to the moon and use it as a base camp to test technology, train astronauts before taking that final massive leap to Mars. And in 2025, everything is moving into a make-or-break phase. Specifically, Artemis 2. According to the most recent plan, Artemis 2, the mission to send astronauts on a flyby around the moon, is being prepped like crazy for a launch in late 2025.
This isn't just a simple flight. It's a high-stakes quantum leap, a do-or-die test for the Orion spacecraft's life support system and the SLS rocket booster. If it's a cracker, it'll solidify the belief that we're ready for longer trips to a place where we've never set foot before. Artemis 3. If Artemis 2 is a success, Artemis 3 will be the history-making mission, putting humans back on the surface of the moon. This is an absolutely essential stepping stone. Here, we'll learn how to survive in a remote environment, utilize local resources like water ice at the moon's south pole, and build the very first outposts. These lessons, one by one, will be the key that unlocks the door to Mars.
Starship, going all in on a multi-planetary future. But you can't not mention Elon Musk's SpaceX. They've got a completely different philosophy. Instead of taking slow, steady steps, they've chosen to strike fast and win big with a single goal: to make humanity a multi-planetary species. And their flagship vessel, Starship, is the golden ticket to this bonkers plan. By mid-2025, after some wild trials, Starship has made some incredible strides. In a presentation revealed in May 2025, Elon Musk updated their roadmap with an ambitious timeline to land the first uncrewed starships on Mars by late 2026, with crewed missions to begin in the years following. Starship isn't just a rocket, it's a completely reusable transport system, capable of carrying hundreds of tons of cargo and hundreds of people to Mars in a single launch. This is the biggest plot twist in the space race, a revolution in cost and transport capability, turning Mars from a far-flung dream into a destination within reach.
Landing on Mars is just the start. The real test is figuring out how to survive and thrive. The first astronauts won't just go there to plant a flag and come home. They're there to stay, to build. The biggest challenges? Radiation and dust storms. We talked about cosmic radiation in the last bit. It's the biggest threat, and a standard-issue spacesuit just ain't gonna cut it. Scientists are looking at building underground bases beneath the planet's surface, where thick layers of rock and soil will act as a natural shield against the radiation. The second thing is the dust storms. They don't just mess up the equipment, they can also clog up the ventilation systems and cause some serious health issues for the crew. The solution they're working on is using self-cleaning technology on the solar panels and building massive air filtration systems. ISRU, or In Situ Resource Utilization, is the ultimate key to survival. Now, this part gets a bit scientific, but trust me, it's absolutely brilliant and super practical. ISRU, or In Situ Resource Utilization, is a concept that's a fair dinkum game changer. Instead of hauling everything from Earth, we'll create what we need right there on Mars. Making oxygen. One of the most cutting-edge gadgets on the Perseverance rover is MOXIE. It's already had a crack at successfully splitting the carbon dioxide, or CO2, in the Martian atmosphere to produce oxygen, or O2. This is a massive breakthrough, a real ripper. Oxygen isn't just for breathing, it's also a vital component for rocket fuel, which means we can set up a petrol station right on Mars, making it heaps easier for rockets to get back to Earth. Tapping into water. From recent discoveries of underground water ice, we know that Mars has got water in spades. Robots, and later humans, will use drills to access these enormous ice reserves, melting them down to get water for drinking, for daily use, and most importantly, to be broken down into oxygen and hydrogen for fuel. Space farming, the green revolution on the red planet. Living on Mars, we can't just be eating tucker out of a packet forever. Astronauts are going to have to learn how to produce their own food. Scientists are already experimenting with enclosed growing systems using LED lights and treated Martian soil. Just imagine, one day you'll be tucking into a tomato that was grown right on the red planet. That's not just a pipe dream, it's a very real goal.
Could we turn Mars into a second Earth? This is the final and most contentious question. Terraforming, the process of transforming another planet to make it capable of supporting Earth-like life, sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi flick. But it's a very real scientific debate. The plan, scientists have cooked up a bunch of ideas, from using giant mirrors to heat and melt the polar ice caps, to building factories that would pump out greenhouse gases to warm the atmosphere. The challenges and questions. However, scientists have pointed out that Mars just doesn't have enough carbon dioxide to create a big enough greenhouse effect. What's more, transforming a planet is a monumental undertaking, one that could take hundreds, even thousands of years. Have we got the patience for that? And do we even have the right to do another planet to our liking? Looking at Mars, we see a mirror reflecting ourselves. It's a planet that died because it lacked the protection of a magnetic field. It's a stark reminder that our own Earth isn't here to stay forever. The race to Mars isn't just about conquering a new planet. It's about us as a species learning to survive, learning to protect ourselves from the dangers of the universe. It's about us not giving up, not accepting our fate, but bravely reaching out to create a new future. See, life isn't a gift, it's a fight, and Mars is our next battlefield.
Alright, so our journey of exploring Mars has truly come a long way, from a past full of water and life, to a present full of mystery and challenges, to a future full of promise, but also not without its risks. Mars isn't just a planet, it's a mirror reflecting ourselves. It shows us how tiny we are in the vast universe, but also the power of our intellect and courage. It shows us the fragility of life and the necessity to protect this home, Earth. And most importantly, it shows us that if we stop exploring, stop being curious, we'll only ever be tiny creatures on a tiny planet. Mars isn't the destination, it's a reminder that in this universe there's only one place we can truly call home, and it's right here beneath our feet. So, what about you? Are you ready to fly with us? Are you ready to uncover the next secrets of the universe? If you're ready to have your mind absolutely blown with some one-of-a-kind knowledge and captivating stories, then don't hesitate. Become a part of Space Plus family right away. If this story gave you goosebumps, then now's the time to act. Click on that massive subscribe button below so you don't miss a single flight from Space Plus. Hit like and share to spread this story to all the people you care about. And don't forget to drop a cracker comment to let us know what you think about Mars. Space Plus, where science goes beyond the formula to tell stories with soul. See you on the next planet.